What is up, y'all? Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. We, of course, are The Alternates, a basketball show for the others where we like to showcase independent music and discuss all things basketball. I am your host, Brian Cullen, and with me is everyone's favorite Western Conference MVP, Clayton Magic Stevens.
Did I even deserve it? Who knows?
Up for debate. We've got a great show lined up for you today. Before we jump in, I want to just take a quick second, ask you all to subscribe to the show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Go ahead and like the video, drop us a comment, leave us a rating and review if that option is available. And most importantly, share the show. It helps people just like you find us, and we can continue to grow this incredible community that we've got going on here. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send your questions and comments to thealternateshoop@gmail.com. And while you're on TikTok, maybe you're on the toilet just scrolling. Hell, I do it. I'm not going to lie. Scrolling on TikTok.
I don't have TikTok, but I scroll.
Ticking and talking and duking. It's what I do.
I see the TikToks. I can't lie. I see them.
This is just who I am. While you're on there, go ahead and follow the show at The Alternates NBA. Clayton, how are you, my good friend?
Well. You know, I played some shows over this Memorial Day weekend with some friends. It was great. San Diego, Che Cafe, legendary. Obviously, got to see some friends and connect with people, and that was really great. LA, hometown show, you know, appreciate everyone who came out. And then at the end, Oakland at a bicycle shop, which is just classic DIY.
Yeah.
And it had a really fun, good spirit. And everyone was just in a positive, fun Memorial Day weekend. Like, we're just eating vegan food and hanging out.
I love that.
It was great.
Did you go to the Butcher Son when you were in the Bay Area?
Didn't make it up to the Butcher. I went to a place called the Vegan Mob.
Oh yeah, Vegan Mob. Yeah. Newer spot.
Yeah, newer spot. Really good, like vegan soul food. It was the only meal I ate that day. I was so ridiculously full.
Yeah, there's a place in Berkeley called Addie's, and it is the best Ethiopian food I've ever had in my entire life.
Noted.
Next time you're up there, I'll drop the address for you. You gotta hit it up. They make the best tofu tibs I've had in my entire life. I dream about that place.
Bay Area's got a lot of really good food.
It does.
Good
Absolutely.
food scene up there.
Well, speaking of the Bay Area, let's jump into headliners here.
Let's do it.
Because we have some series that have ended.
Yes.
The conference finals are done. Let's start in the West, because that one ended first.
Yep.
Where the Warriors defeat the Mavs 120-110. And the Warriors are back. They're going to the finals.
Unbelievable.
Unreal. Let me first kind of get your thoughts on this series. Let's start with the Warriors. What do you got on the Warriors side? What are you seeing out of that? What are your final thoughts out of this series?
I can't help but think about 2 years ago. That's the first thing that came to mind for me. And I looked it up. This team won 15 games 2 years ago.
Yeah.
15 games. And yes, there was a slight concerted effort to do so in a way.
Sure.
You know, Steph broke his hand. Clay was out.
On purpose.
Yeah. You know, Clay was out, and they went for full-on development.
Yeah.
But not a lot of teams could survive that.
Yeah.
A lot of teams, that would break their spirit. It would break the locker room. You know, guys start gunning for their next contract, not caring about the team and all that stuff. And Steve Kerr, through his absolutely brilliant coaching and just through this organization's just commitment to building a team around the Splash Brothers and this really special core with Draymond and all these guys, they're back in the finals. It's just, what other team can you say that about? That 2 years ago they won 15 games and now they're back in the... Yes, they were the team that was going to the finals year after year after year, a few years before that. But the result of it all, now that it's all been said and done, 6 finals in 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
With winning 15 games at one point. It's just a very unique story, a very unique development story. Andrew Wiggins, we got to talk about him.
Yeah.
We've been talking about him, right? He's been incredible. He's turned into the player that the Warriors hoped Harrison Barnes would be all those years ago,
Sure.
right? Like, not quite the shot maker necessarily, but his diet of shots is so easy because of who he plays with, and the game has become so easy for him. And like I'm saying, that it's what they wanted Harrison Barnes to be: commit to defense, play the right way, you'll get your points, all that stuff will come to you really easily. And I think that's why Steph Curry ended up winning the MVP award of the conference finals here, the Magic Johnson Award, as they're calling it, because his numbers were good.
Yeah.
They're not popping off the page as, 50-point whatever, but the gravity of Steph Curry, and not just the gravity, but his unselfishness, give up the ball, or forget the way he plays, because that's obviously unselfish. In the first round of the playoffs, he's coming off the bench.
Yeah.
That's the tone that he sets early and often is, I will do whatever it takes to win, whatever the team needs, whatever's going to be the easiest way for us to get there. And he sets that standard from the very beginning. And so not only is he deserving he's the best player, he's obviously the best player, he deserves it from such a leadership standpoint and just like setting that tone for this team.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I love what you're saying about the development with this team. And if we, talk about Andrew Wiggins specifically, yes, it's a two-way relationship that I think worked together really well, because when they first got him, he was still the Andrew Wiggins that had built this name for himself of being lazy at times and putting no effort on defense, terrible shot choice, just kind of putting up whatever. And then obviously the team worked on developing him, but he had to make a decision as a player to buy into it, because the Warriors are one of those few teams that it isn't exactly a plug and play situation. Steph Curry is a one of one. There's nobody else like Steph Curry in the league. And so their system is very centric to that. And for him to become the perfect complementary piece to Steph, I think speaks to the commitment on both sides of the coaching and training staff and Andrew Wiggins to say, okay, I understand what it is I need to be, who I need to be, what I need to do to maximize what we have here. And it's not something that's easy to do for everybody. I mean, look at the last couple years of guys that have come in and out, right? You had D'Angelo Russell, you had Kelly Oubre, and then, Eric Pascal, Jordan Bell, like all of these different names. They spent a couple years tinkering it, and then they really figured it out this year. You could see them start to put it together last year, right? They ended the season 15-5. And that was really when we started to see, Andrew Wiggins and this coaching staff figured out how this works. Yeah. And that, I think we all should have probably taken that a little more seriously than we did at the time, because now we're seeing it, and this team is incredible, and they're back, and it speaks to the core of this team and what they're able to do. It's so impressive. It's really kind of cool seeing the Warriors figure it out. Like you said, like who else can we say has had a bounce back as big as this one?
Well, and again, like it always comes back to Steph Curry, because, a guy like Jordan Poole, who, his career started off not great. People were questioning if he was ever going to be a positive impact player. Then at times this season turns out to be like maybe the best scorer on the team at times. And they have an incredible record when he's the starter before Klay comes back. But because of the example that Steph Curry sets, it means Jordan Poole has to fall in line, because he's Steph Curry.
Right.
He's one of the greatest to ever play. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And if he's going to sacrifice, then I have to sacrifice. And it's just amazing. There is no other team like them. It's so fun to watch. And having the KD-less Warriors back, it's a joy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now on the Mavs side, I know that we gave them a bit of a eulogy after Game 3.
Yeah.
Are there any other thoughts on the Dallas Mavericks in this series? Quick thoughts on going forward. I know in the offseason we'll kind of dive into a lot of these teams, but has anything changed for you?
Nothing's really changed for me, but I do think this is the perfect time to give the Mavs their flowers a little bit, right? They haven't been past the first round. They've had, obviously a tough opponent in facing Kawhi Leonard and Paul George the past couple years in the first round. It's a tough ask for a 21, 22-year-old Luka. Now he's 23, still 23 years old.
He's deep 23.
Yeah, he's barely 23 years old. gets to his first Western Conference Finals, but not just gets there, beats the Suns to get there. Like, we haven't given them, the media in general has not given them enough credit for the Suns were the best team.
Yeah.
They were the favorites to go to the finals. They won over 60 games. They were unstoppable force the entire season. And the Mavericks beat them fair and square. No injury bullshit, no nothing. Fair and square beat them, got here. They lose a tough series. As we said, there were times in this series they blew some big leads.
Yeah.
They were really close. They could have beaten the Warriors. Like, they have a lot to build on from, and this is a huge, huge, huge step for Luka Doncic, and I think he's going to learn a lot from this. I think we finally saw the emergence of Jalen Brunson, the guy that we saw in college. There's a lot of really good stuff going on in Dallas right now. They don't need to be hanging their heads too low after this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I still stand by upgrade at the 5. Other than that, I still I still believe in this roster to do it, right? Like, they are young. Like you said, their superstar is 23.
Yes.
You get him the experience of a Western Conference Finals run at that age. They only go up, and maybe this run wakes something up in him. It allows him to mature a little bit more in this offseason, take the offseason a little more seriously, train, build some healthier habits, and then come back next year even stronger, even more dominant. I think that we could be looking at probably the Vegas odds to win MVP next season after what we saw him do in this playoff run.
I think that's right, and I think that if he takes that approach and he goes for an MVP type season, starts off the season strong, because that has been a thing for him, is he has started off the season slow so far in his career and built up to the end. If he can start off the season on a stronger note, this team could win a lot of games next year.
Yeah.
And as we see, the further you go into the playoffs, home court advantage does matter. Obviously, injury luck and all that stuff, but you want to have home court. You want to give yourself the best seed. You want to have the easiest path to get there. They didn't have the easiest path, and they got pretty far.
Yeah. Interesting you say that, because it takes us into the next series.
Yep.
Where we had 2 games. Wasn't expecting it. We thought this was going to be over in Game 6. And Miami forces a Game 7 in Boston. They end up winning that game 111-103. The series goes back to Miami. It's a Game 7. Thank you, basketball gods, by the way, because I did ask for a Game 7. Where we finally got our first close game of the series. It felt like it was an incredible nail biter. Everything that you want out of a Game 7 to decide who's going to the finals. Boston ends up winning on the road in Miami 100-96. Incredible last few minutes of this game. Miami goes on this 8-0 run. They get within 1 point. You don't know what's going to happen, who's going to pull it out. It was so much fun, but Boston wins. They're going on to the finals to face the Golden State Warriors. Let's start with Boston here.
Who could have predicted it?
I don't know. I think it was me. It was me. I called it. Actually, I'm curious. This just popped in my head. Did we ever have the Warriors and the Celtics in the finals in a round of Start Today? I'm going to have to go back and look.
Yeah, we're going to have to go back and look. We're going to be tallying those up soon here anyways.
Yeah.
But I don't think we had that exact matchup.
Interesting.
Now that you say that, I don't think we did. I think we've had both of those teams in the finals. I don't think we've had them facing each other.
Yeah, that's interesting. So on the Boston side, I mean, wow. I'm so impressed. I think it's funny because, we talked about this Warriors, having this kind of dynastic run, falling into a pit a little bit and then coming back. Maybe not to the same extremes, but we're looking at a Celtics team that made a conference finals appearance, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
And now they're going to the finals. They were able to get back and do it. They struggled last season. They had a rough run in the playoffs last year. And this team is still almost like the Mavericks in some ways, still so young.
Yeah.
So young. When you look at Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, I'm just so impressed with what Boston has been able to do here. Credit to Ime. I was so happy to see him advance. So happy for Al Horford, who has had a, kind of a wild career in terms of ups and downs. think about where he was last year.
Home.
Yeah, he was at home.
He was
collecting
at home.
checks from the Thunder. So
Yes.
very cool to see this. Do you have any thoughts on final thoughts on Boston in this series?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is an amazing run. Like you said, shout out to Ime Udoka because he believed in his principles. I think a lot of times you can see teams when they're struggling, they go against their principles because they're struggling.
Yeah.
He did a really good job of, from the very beginning of the season, setting a tone. This is the way that I'm going to coach. I'm going to coach you hard. I'm not going to let it be easy on you. I expect really big things out of my stars.
Yeah.
And he held them accountable for it. And when they were losing, he was calling them out for it.
Yeah.
And people were saying like, whoa, you're 15 games into the season and you're saying Jason Tatum isn't good enough. I think Jason Tatum liked it.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, they responded.
Right? They responded. And so shout out to him and the team for buying in. And a guy like, we've been talking about like Peyton Pritchard. His role has changed throughout the season.
Yeah.
But he stayed ready. And that is a credit to not just him, but the coaching staff as well of like, you're going to be important.
Yeah.
When I call on you, go out there and play hard and play your game and you'll be rewarded for it. And he's done a really good job of putting all these people in a position to win. And the biggest difference that I see in this team from the Brad Stevens era to the Ime Udoka era, it's the defensive mindset and just the commitment to one style of defense that they believe in, and they just are nonstop. This is the way we play, and we're going to have it be our strength, and we're not going to go against it ever. Again, more credit to just how principled of a head coach he is. I have a lot of respect for guys like that who just... their philosophy is the way that they're going to go about it. Like Steve Kerr, it's actually a very similar type of thing where, Steve Kerr gets heat all the time for like, just put the ball in Steph's hands, just run pick and roll. And he's like, no, I don't believe in that. As much as Steph could do that if he wanted to, this is the basketball that I believe in. And look at the success that they've had because of it. Same thing with the Celtics here. No matter the downs, he believes in what his principles are. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. His ability to get the buy-in is really impressive. So last thing on the Boston side here that's going to take us into Miami. Jason Tatum goes on to win the Larry Bird Eastern Conference Final MVP.
Yep.
I want to ask you this. Is that Jason Tatum's award? Or should this be going to Jimmy Butler, who put an entire team on his back in Game 6 to force the Game 7 with one of the most incredible playoff performances we've ever seen?
Yeah, and it wasn't in the bubble, by the way.
Right,
we had a few of these performances in the bubble. Jamal Murray, Donovan Mitchell, 55-point games. It was like, something's weird in this bubble here. I don't know. The further we get away from the bubble, the stranger it seems.
Yeah.
But yes, the stat line in Game 6, we haven't said it yet. 47 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, a block, 4 steals, only 1 turnover.
Unreal. 1 turnover on 8 assists is incredible.
It was a superhero performance.
Yeah.
It's everything you want your star to do. I think he went to the free throw line 11 times. I believe he went 11 for 11 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
Then in Game 7, he was incredible too. Put the team on his back. People are talking about the 3, right?
Yeah.
The 3 he took in transition to go up. Look, it was an open shot. It's not Jimmy's shot. I get that it's a little ill-advised, but he's earned the right. If he thought
100%.
if he thought that was the shot that he wanted and he saw it and he took it, I'll live with that all day, every day.
And if that goes in, we're talking about it in a completely different way. It was an open shot. This is like the Bogdanovich shot at the end of the
open.
Utah series.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a very good look at 3. While he isn't a top tier 3-point shooter, he is a guy that can hit open threes. That is a Jimmy Butler shot. You run with that every single time you have it.
But the problem is here, I think that Jason Tatum did just enough to be he was just so consistent throughout. And yes, he had a couple of games. Well, he had one specific game where he was really bad on offense. But One thing I think that people aren't talking about enough with Jason Tatum is that defensive mindset and how good he's been defensively. Like nobody talks about that.
We've talked about it on the alternates.
We've been
a couple
talking
times.
about it a little bit, but I think, the media,
Big
corporate
media.
overlords of media have not been talking enough about, not only is he's the best scorer on the team, but he is also the best, he sets the tone for them defensively. And when guys have been in and out of the lineup, he's been the one there carrying them throughout it. Jimmy Butler started off hot. He got injured, he left. All that stuff combined with the losing, I think it was just not enough. If they win this series, though, unquestionably, Jimmy Butler's getting it.
Yeah.
Because he was the most impactful player on either team.
Yeah. 100%.
Right? Like, he was the player who carried his team the furthest. But with the injuries and with the ups and downs of the team and all of that stuff, I think Tatum deserved it, but just edged him out. Just edged him out on it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting offseason for Miami. Again, we'll dive into some of this stuff a little deeper in the actual offseason, but I think we saw what you and I were talking about kind of come to fruition, which is an over-reliance on Jimmy Butler, who played every single minute in Game 7.
Yeah.
And probably that fatigue led to that 3 coming up short.
Yeah.
They're going to have to figure out who their number 2 is. If it's not somebody on the team, they might have to go hunting to find it.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kyle Lowry clearly wasn't right.
Yeah.
Just his inability to get by people at times, it's like, that's not Kyle Lowry. Like, even when he's not the fastest, just his strength and all that stuff, he's always been able to get by people and do that stuff. I think for them, they need to figure out who are their best guys, get them healthy, and also they need to maximize Bam Adebayo a little more. To me, I'm not as worried about Kyle Lowry and the guards. It's the Bam thing that I think that's where their ceiling comes in more for them moving forward. One question I had for you from a roster standpoint for them, Victor Oladipo.
He's back, baby.
So did he earn himself a new contract, a try-it contract? Did he earn himself a multi-year contract? Is he going to come back to the Miami Heat? Are there going to be a lot of teams interested in him?
I think there's going to be off-season interest. I think he's on the earn it, and I think that he has advanced past that. His performance in the playoffs, look, we had the game with Jimmy Butler out, and Victor Oladipo was the one who put the team on his back. He showed his ability to hit shots, to score, to defend. We saw the pre-injury, Indiana Pacers Oladipo come back. And even in the last couple games, he was solid. I think that he has shown that it wasn't just a one game kind of one-off performance. I think he's shown that he has worked his way back. He put the time and effort in. I do think, he's basically on a minimum right now. I think he's going to get a payday this offseason.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's earned himself a nice little multi-year deal here with somebody. Could be the Heat, and credit to him too for not just playing well and doing all that stuff, but playing for what the team needed and never complaining and just kind of filling in whatever the team needed at times. It was an inspiring performance from him, and I'm with you. I think he's earned himself a nice little deal here.
Absolutely. Okay, last little part here in headliners. The Los Angeles Lakers have hired a head coach. They have hired Bucks assistant Darvin Ham, taking over as a first-time head coach for the Lakers. This is big news. It honestly came a little earlier than I thought. I thought that they were going to take a little longer, but they were clearly very impressed with him. Give me some of your thoughts on this hire for the Lakers.
The basketball hipsters, they got their wish. They got their man. The Lakers went non-Lakers on this one. Didn't go for the biggest name out there. Yeah, he's a big name, but of the NBA hipster community, shout out to all my Reddit people out there that were cheering for this and wanting him to get here. I think this was a really good hire for the Lakers. A very proven assistant who has a really nice track record. And we've seen when LeBron likes somebody, like he loved Ty Lue, first-year head coach, brought him in, they win a championship together because, you got to get buy-in from your best player. I think this is a really good choice for the Lakers here.
I love it for a kind of bigger basketball view. in terms of where the league is going and heading, because it feels like we get stuck in this rut with coaching where it's just kind of the same guys recycling in and out, bouncing around, going here and there. And it feels like the league, is making a like cultural shift in accepting taking chances on first-time coaches, right? Nick Nurse did it with the Toronto Raptors. As you said, Ty Lue with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, I love that we are getting some new blood in here, giving these guys, because it's going to keep the league fresh. It's going to keep it. These guys are coming in with new ideas. We're not going to see the same systems over and over and over. And some of them are great. And obviously those are the great coaches, but I love that we're getting some new faces, that it's not the same recycled material over and over. And I gotta talk about this. This is kind of perfectly leading us into the Underground Network.
Okay.
Because we're seeing some of these newer faces, these first-time head coaches with a lot of success. So as we talk about coaching trees, typically we're talking about Greg Popovich, right? That is the most prolific coaching tree in the NBA. We've seen all of these coaches branch off and go on to do other things. But there's one coach that fell off that tree and turned into a little seed, and it went underground, which is why this is the Underground Network. And it sprouted, and it grew, and it's become its own very healthy, impressive tree. And that is the Mike Budenholzer tree.
Oh, yeah.
So Mike Budenholzer, which is funny that we're talking about this, because really up until he won a championship last year in Milwaukee, was on the hot seat. I think if they don't win last year, he probably gets fired. There was a dark cloud over him of being an overrated coach, not being that
regular
good.
Season only.
Yeah, doesn't make adjustments in the playoffs and all of this. And he shut all that down by winning. But if you look at who now is head coaches in the NBA, we've got a handful of them that tie directly back to him, specifically to the 2013-2014 Atlanta Hawks, where Bud was the head coach. Here was his assistant coaching staff.
Okay.
Kenny Atkinson, Darvin Ham, Taylor Jenkins, and Quinn Snyder.
Oh my God. It's the KD Warriors of coaching staffs.
It really is. So okay, Darvin Ham just got hired by the Lakers, which is a huge deal for a franchise like the Lakers with a player like LeBron to say, let's take a chance on a first-time head coach.
Yeah.
He was part of that the following season, he was part of that 60-win team in Atlanta. He was an assistant there. He's bringing championship pedigree. He won a title with the Pistons in 2004 against the Lakers of all teams. One of the most unlikely championships, I think. And then, of course, he wins one as an assistant coach last season with the Milwaukee Bucks. Kenny Atkinson, okay, doesn't necessarily have the championship pedigree, but this guy took the post KG Paul Pierce Nets that were absolutely depleted. No draft picks, no free agents. It was just a ragtag of random players, and took that team and developed it into this really competitive, fun basketball team, ended up getting them into the playoffs, which was crazy.
One of the most unlikely playoff teams you will ever see.
100%. And he laid down the foundation that got the attention of Kevin Durant to say, I'm going to leave the Voltron Warriors and go play in that culture.
Yeah, by the way, KD, don't you wish Kenny Atkinson was still your coach?
Okay, so they get rid of Kenny. Kenny goes on to join the Clippers last season, developed young talent there. As an assistant coach, gets the Clippers to their first ever Western Conference Finals appearance. They were 2 games away from getting to the finals. He leaves the Clippers in the offseason and he joins who? The Warriors this year, who we just talked about, came back, developed guys, and they are now going to the finals. So he has a ton of pedigree there. Quinn Snyder, he left this coaching staff, goes to the Utah Jazz, and the Utah Jazz have caught a lot of heat on this show this season. And I think maybe this particular version of it has run its course. But as a coach, Quinn Snyder developed Rudy Gobert.
Yes.
He developed Donovan Mitchell. He got them to the 1 seed and the Western Conference Finals last year. They've been a top 5 defense the last several seasons. They've spent several seasons under him as a head coach as title contenders, considering to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference. I think that speaks for itself. Taylor Jenkins. Look at what just happened. He took a team in the Memphis Grizzlies that everybody was saying, oh, this is a really fun, this is this is going to be my league pass team. This is a really fun young team, not too many expectations, but they're going to be, enjoyable to watch. And towards the end of the season, had a lot of us going, they might be in title contention. This team is really good.
No, they were in title contention.
Yeah, fair
straight
enough.
up. That is a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And developed
Brandon Clark,
Triple J, all of these guys, Desmond Bain, all under this coach. These guys are all coming from the bud tree. And I think it's time that we start respecting Budenholzer for who he is, not only as a head coach, but as a guy that is developing incredible head coaches in the league.
Yeah, because clearly Coach Bud not only has an eye for great players and developing a great system around those players and maximizing them, as we said with the Hawks, won 60 plus games with, you look at that roster.
Yeah.
Yes, they had, Millsap and Horford at their prime, their peak, but, Jeff Teague, it was just a lot of average to slightly above average players playing above their head.
4 of those 5 starters made it into the All-Star game.
Yeah, no, Kyle Korver, all these, just an amazing run with that team. Then obviously goes to Milwaukee and has all the success, but not just an eye for developing that, but an eye for coaches who can develop players and help him maximize it to the next level. Because all of these coaches, the through line of all of these coaches is that all of them are great development coaches.
Yeah.
You did miss out on a big thing for Darvin Ham, though. And this might be the biggest thing on his, in his career.
Okay.
The most interesting fact about him, in 2006, he played for a team called the Talk and Text Phone Pals out of the Filipino Basketball Association.
How could I forget?
How could you forget his run with the Talk and Text Phone Pals?
How foolish of me.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, let's wipe all those other coaches off the board. That is the accomplishment right there. But is a joke. This is all about Darvin Ham's run with
but seriously, I mean, it's an amazing tree here. You're right. Not enough people are giving enough credit to Coach Bud here for being. He's one of the most influential coaches in all of basketball.
100%, and that's what I'm saying. I think. Obviously, I think we're in the twilights of Popovich. He's probably going to be out of the league. Who knows? Few years maybe, and he's going to go down as one of, if not the greatest ever. And as we get towards the end of this, for me, I've been having this thought of who's the next, right? Who's the next? And you've got Spo, you've got some of these other guys. I think that we need to start recognizing Budenholzer as being one of those guys and respecting what he's been able to do in terms of the teams that he's coached and then the teams that have gotten coaches out of his staff and the success that they've had.
And it's kind of only right that it came from Popovich too. It
all starts with him.
It all
starts with him. It's
cool that he came from Pop and, like you said, sprouted to become his own tree and have all of this stuff. It's just it's the perfect lineage.
Yeah.
It's another feather really in Coach Pop's hat. Yeah. Really, another great thing for him is that he found Budenholzer. Budenholzer finds all these people. Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I think it's time we all start respecting it and appreciating it. It was good to poke into the Underground Network. It's been a little while.
It's been, been a minute.
The Underground was getting a little ignored, which the Underground often does. Let's have some fun here, and let's get into our last segment and play this week's Duo Jam.
Let's do it.
So, last week, we had the Heat Celtics series that we were picking from. We did a little bit differently. We did one starter and one bench player.
Yep.
I took a big risk in taking my Celtics, which ended up paying off in terms of them in the series. I didn't curse them out of the playoffs, which was nice. I picked Jason Tatum, and then my bench player was Grant Williams. Jason Tatum, the MVP, What can I say? 198.8 points over those 2 games.
That's a big one.
Grant Williams, kind of quiet, 52.8. I combined for 251.6. Not bad. Not bad. You had the Heat. Kind of a tough pick. I'll give you that because, Jimmy Butler's health was in question. Kyle Lowry's health was in question.
Tyler Hero's question.
Yeah, Tyler Hero. He didn't play Game 6, that was a tough one.
He played in Game 7.
Yeah, sure,
really.
yeah.
No.
He got some training in.
Yeah.
So you picked Bam Adebayo, who was coming off of a massive game. He put up 112.7 points. Okay.
Respectable.
Sure. It depends on what you respect. And then you had Gabe Vincent coming off of the bench because of Tyler Hero's absence in Game 6. Very similar to Grant Williams, 52.6 points. You combine for 165.3, and I gotta win.
Yep.
What is this feeling? Ooh, I could get used to this.
Yeah.
Am I back on a run?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Well, only time will tell. And let's start by finding out this week as we go into the NBA Finals.
Wow.
It's here. So there's clearly only 2 teams to pick from. They will be playing games 1 and 2 starting on Thursday. So this week we are looking at those first 2 games. I have an idea for this one. You love the traditional NBA Jam duo, the kind of like, maybe not even necessarily guard, but like the star kind of like backcourt wing player and a big.
Yep.
Let's do it. Let's stick with that formula this week. Since I played the Celtics last week, I'm going to grab the Warriors, leaving you at the Celtics. The first pick is easy for me. It's a young man named Jordan Poole. No, I'm kidding. It is Stephen Curry. Come on. Steph Curry back in the finals. He's gunning for his first Finals MVP award.
God, it would be so funny if like Wiggins won it. It would be so funny.
Let's not take that off the table. I mean, it could be Clay for like the narrative, he came back.
I know.
But I'm going with Steph Curry.
Yeah.
I thought about Draymond Green because he plays a lot of minutes at the 5 for them.
Yeah.
But I don't want to bend the rules here. I want to go traditional big and a guy that I've loved watching play in Kevon Looney. I'm expecting at least 44 rebounds from him over these next 2 games. So it's Steph and Kevon Looney for me.
I love it.
Who do you got coming out of Boston for this week?
Coming out of Boston, I'm going, obviously we're going with the big and small, and I'm going with you. Easy choice here. I'm going with the point guard of the talk and text. No, I'm just kidding. Going Jason Tatum, right? The best player on the team.
We got a battle of the MVPs here.
Exactly.
Okay.
Conference MVPs. I'm going with Jason Tatum. And then for my big, obviously, I thought about Time Lord.
Yeah.
Time Lord's been unbelievable and crazy impactful and getting those little extra fantasy points like blocks and steals and stuff. But as we've also been talking about with Time Lord, I just never know if he's going to play or not. His knees are just...
He played in Game 7 the way Tyler Hero played in Game 7. I think he played 12 minutes or something like
barely.
that in the game?
Yeah, he really did. But it seems like Time Lord wakes up and his knees decide you can play today or you can't play today. So I'm going to go with old man, connection to the 2013 Hawks.
Ooh.
Al Horford.
Love it.
Al Horford's been amazing.
Yeah.
He versus Kevon Looney is going to be hilarious. Just 2 slow pokes gunning for rebounds.
Oh, this is going to be exciting.
It's a very unique 5 on 5.
Yeah.
It really is a very unique front court matchup, exactly like you're saying. So I'm going with Jason Tatum and old man Al Horford.
I love it. This could actually be a very close matchup. I think that they're very, especially in terms of like fantasy production, I think these duos are pretty neck and neck in terms of what they're able to put out. So this will be interesting. We'll see if I can start another win streak here. They say Duo Jam is a game of runs. So we'll see if I can run away with another win here. That is going to be the episode. Thank you all so much for joining us. We will be back Thursday with some finals preview talk. Ooh. We get to look forward and talk about it. Maybe put some predictions out in the world.
Yes.
See what we're picking. Very excited for that. Can't believe the finals are here already. It's crazy. What are we leaving everybody with today, Clayton?
We are leaving everyone with a great band. You probably already know them. They're called BIB from Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah.
One of the best.
Second best band out of Omaha, Nebraska.
Ooh, who's the best?
311. Come on, dude. We all know that.
I'm going to let that sit for a minute. Everybody hear that? Okay.
My bad for coming original.
Yep, bye. So anyways, this song is called The Fool. It's from their LP Deluxe on Wig Records that came out in 2020. They're like a psychedelic, hardcore freak out fest, and they're the best.
Sick.
So,
well, again, thank you all so much. Hope you enjoy the song. Remember to be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other. We will see you in a couple days. Thank you so much.
thanks.